So you can't trail a cow to a corral, treat it if it's sick or pink eye or foot rot or whatever it might be. So we developed ways of catching the animal right where it is, treating it and releasing it in the most stress-free manner we possibly can. This roping actually derived from Mexico, moved up into California a couple hundred years ago. We're kind of carrying on some tradition. So we decided that we would make competitions, so just us working cowboys would get together on the weekend and have a little fun, see who's better than the other guy. And so what you will see when we get roping cattle, that's the way we do it back at the ranch over the hill when no one's watching. It is a scored sport rather than timed like you see in rodeo. Actually in ranch roping, if you go fast, you get penalized. Everything's done at a walk or a trot. If you rough the animal up in any way, you get points subtracted from your score, and you get rewarded if you handle them nicely. So to start with, we're just going to show you a few loops. So some of you may have watched the rodeo or seen it on TV, and so they have their traditional style loops that we throw, and then we're gonna show you some other ones. So why don't we get Harry, the regional calf roper, and just show us a loop that he would throw when he's in the calf roping, and we will throw this loop if we have to chase a calf in the pasture to catch it. So that's a basic loop. That's a 6-point loop. And so thank you, Harry. And so Harvey, you're next. Why don't you come over and throw us a heel trap for us? And just a basic heel trap. So Harvey threw that's called a over the hip, standard over the hip. See how the rope is hanging on the cow's tail? So you can just sit there and wait until the cow actually steps forward. Cow puts his hind feet in it. We're good to go. So Kristen, what would you like to throw? Yeah, we'll get Kristen to throw a heel trap. How's that sound? Kristen has a borrowed horse that she's been riding the last couple of days, and they're getting acquainted with one another as to just what they want to do. And Kristen's done a really nice job of getting used to this horse. So see there, she's got her loop in front of the cow's feet. She just waits for it to step forward, and she'll get a foot. So would you like to throw a loop? What would you like to throw? Go backhand, yeah. So for every forehand loop that we have a backhand made to it. So we'll just throw you a few of the loops. Good job. Good. So that's the loop that you throw from if you're in a different position on the cow. So what we want to do is, instead of dragging our cow around or moving it to where it's convenient for us, if we learn all these different loops when we approach our cow, probably sick, we just rope it from whatever position we're in for whatever loop we have. Harry, how about you throw a hula hand for us? This here is a loop you can throw from a little longer distance. Excellent. So that's thrown with the backhand swing, and that's a loop that we use. That's the loop we use the most treating cattle out in the open, because when you get effective with it, we rope with at least 60-foot ropes. When you get effective with it, you can throw and catch a calf and use that whole 60 feet of rope. So that way you don't have to chase the calf around, because he's sick, so what do you want to chase him? So then we get on the weekends, we get together and we kind of try to outdo each other a little bit. So we come up with some more fancier loops that get us more points. So how it's scored is the most difficult loop you throw, the more points you get. These loops derive from a functional purpose in real life roping, and they're difficult to do. We don't use them a lot in real life roping, but we use them at our competitions just to test ourselves. This loop here is called a Del Viento, and it's designed to rope a cow out on the other side of the herd. So I might have 3 or 4 cows in between me, and I want to rope that one on the other side of the herd. So it's a loop you can throw a long ways and catch your cow. And that loop goes up in the air and turns over. And so it's called a turnover on our score sheet, and that loop there would be worth 15 points. Another loop that we'll throw on the heels, and I'll throw this a lot just in a working setting out in the pasture. If you have tall grass, it comes from above and it's a little more apt to get in there. In your competitions, this loop is worth a few more points. So I kind of botched that up, the tip didn't come through. So I always tell people when I teach clinics and I'm doing presentations is when I rope the worst, because I'm talking instead of focusing on what I'm doing. And also it proves that everybody misses. To see it hip come around, now if that cow steps forward, steps into my loop. So there's a mate for that on the other side of the cow. And your cow has to stand fairly quietly. If your cow isn't going to stand quietly, this probably isn't a loop that you might use, but this is the mate. And so see that hangs here, goes in front of his feet, he steps through it, we have his hind feet caught. So then, I got one rope. So then there's turnovers that you can use on the heels, and they get you even more points, but they are really difficult to throw, especially if it happens to be windy. So to throw this loop here, the cow would be facing that way and the tail would be towards you. That's the highest point loop that you can throw in our competitions. That loop there is worth 19 points alone. And that only took me about 10 years to figure out. So anyhow, just to show you some of the different loops that we throw. And so these people here have been working on this for the last year and a half or something. And I am thoroughly impressed with how far they've come along. Roping takes a long time to learn.